our respective participants. Welcome to another webinar of CIRDAP Knowledge Series 2025. So today we gather here to listen from all the way from Kenya of Professor Dr. Agnes Oywaya-Nkurumwa. Ma'am, hope I pronounced your name correctly. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us and giving your precious 1 hour time with us. And hopefully we will complete it within 1 hour. After your presentation, there will be roughly 15 minutes interactive session. It's a part of comments and question answer session. So now I'm requesting our Director Research, sir, Dr. Ganga Acharya, to commence the webinar and to introduce our honorable speaker. Okay. Sir, over to you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, respected participants. Welcome everyone to this very important session today. Actually, across Asia and the Pacific, our agriculture and food system face familiar challenges that are climate stress, aging farmers, and persistent last mile gaps. Today, we are going to look to Kenya, a country that has turned these challenges into opportunities through digital innovation and community-driven solutions. Professor Agnes Oywaya-Nkurumwa joins us to unpack how Kenya's model, rooted in mobile finance, satellite-based insurance, and smart market platforms, offers practical lessons for our region, that is Asia-Pacific region. We are delighted to have her lead this important conversation. Before going through her deliberation, I want to introduce her. Professor Agnes Oywaya-Nkurumwa is an associate professor in the Department of Agriculture, Kenya, with over 25 years of experience in academia. She specializes in agricultural extension approaches, program planning, rural development, rural sociology, and innovation systems. She holds both a Masters of Science and PhD degree in agricultural extension and has supervised more than 30 postgraduate students so far. Professor Nkurumwa has contributed extensively to research, consultancy, and outreach initiatives with a strong commitment to strengthening climate resilience for older farmers, particularly women and youth. A passionate trainer and mentor, she actively engages with farming communities through various capacity building programs. She serves on the management board of the Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, Kenya, a national platform dedicated to advancing effective evidence-based agricultural extension and advisory services. So let's welcome our honorable speaker, Professor Agnes. Now your floor is yours, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, distinguished guests, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share from Kenya's experience in what we are doing as far as agricultural development is concerned. Just allow me to have my slideshow on. Okay, so thank you very much. As you've been informed, my name is Agnes Oywaya-Nkurumwa. I work as a lecturer in one of the public universities in Kenya, which is actually a leading agricultural university. And so it's a great honor to be able to participate in this webinar series And I feel quite humbled that that Kenya can offer lessons to the Asia and Pacific region. And so I've just put together a few thoughts, maybe not too much, but enough for us to be able to have an idea and then to be able to engage further through the question answer session. So you are most welcome. I just start with a brief introduction about Kenya as a country, because you may not know much about Kenya. You may not have visited it, but Kenya is in the East African region of Africa, right on the Indian Ocean. And its total area is about 581 square kilometers. And I looked at the area for the Asia and Pacific countries, and we see that Kenya is really small. And there's only 15% of the land which is arable. So actually about 85% of the land is arid and semi-arid. We have a population of about 55 million, whereby the females constitute slightly above half, about 51%. And the country is divided into 47 counties, which has our units of devolution. And we see that agriculture remains important in the country in terms of contributing to our economy. Currently, the contribution stands at about 22% to the GDP. And actually, in the previous years, the percentage has been higher, but because of various dynamics, including growth in service sectors and even in sectors like tourism, the contribution of agriculture has gone slightly down. 80% of our population lives in the rural areas. And of this rural population, about 70% are employed in agriculture, which actually goes to demonstrate how important agriculture is in our country. And overall, countrywide, we see that agriculture employs about 40% of the workforce in the country through various subsectors and through the various parts of the agricultural value chains. So agriculture is important to us as a country. So, okay, good. So now in terms of the overview of the agriculture sector in Kenya, we see that it consists of three main subsectors. We have crops, livestock, and then fisheries. The crop subsector is the biggest, and we have food crops, with maize being among the leading. It's a staple food in the country. We have horticultural crops, and we also have industrial crops, where we also have our export crops. Then we have the livestock subsector, and we have the fisheries. So the agriculture sector in Kenya is dominated by small-scale producers. So actually, they account for 75% of the to Europe of fresh flowers. We export a lot of our tea, which is well known for its quality, coffee, and also horticultural produce like avocado that has come in very strongly in the recent past. So when we talk about Kenya's story in terms of agriculture, we see that over the years, there's been a significant shift in terms of paradigm, in terms of the way that we look at agriculture. And so there's been a move towards agribusiness orientation, where farmers who are our smallholders are no longer farming simply for subsistence to produce food. We are not focusing on producing more food, but on retooling our smallholders to work in agribusiness. And so we are also moving from heavy capital-intensive approaches to versatile and adaptive approaches, which are data-enabled, so relying more and more on data. Then there's also the issue of the last mile approach. You've also mentioned about the last mile being a challenge even in Asia and the Pacific. So where there is the move to meet the farmers where we are, and digital technology is coming in strongly to assist us in this area, especially on the use of phones, and then the county markets and trusted local networks. And so actually what this presentation seeks to do is simply to pick out some of the stories, to pick out Kenya's model and see what lessons Asia and Pacific region can pick. And especially since we face similar kind of challenges in terms of demographic pressures, in terms of climate risk, and also in terms of market fragmentation. So looking at the context, as we talk about agricultural development, what are the issues that we are trying to address? What are the things that farmers need? And you see that there is that concern about quality inputs, because it is a challenge for many farmers. It has been a challenge in the past. So concern about quality inputs, which are in sufficient quantities and quality and readily accessible. And then we also have accessibility to credit, and farmers also need to have relevant and timely advisory services at all stages of the value chain. And this is especially critical when we look at the climate change challenge that we have. And then also they need advisory on market information, market linkages. We also have the challenge of getting our youth engaged in agriculture, because our farmers are aging. The average age of the Kenyan farmer is about 60 years old, which is, I think, a common problem that we have even in Asia and the Pacific, and the challenge of how to involve youth in agriculture. And so what we see is that there has been a strategic shift, and basically this is whereby Kenya's agricultural revolution is more about agricultural technology, the digital technology kind of revolution. That is what has really helped to push Kenya's agriculture forward. And it's referred to as a leapfrogging, whereby you find Kenya, through the digital revolution, has been able to skip several stages that one would normally go through in order to achieve impact. And so through the digital revolution, the technological revolution, we've been able to make quite a big leap forward. And so we see that our approach actually centers on digital rails. We rely a lot on the digital technologies, digital revolution. And then also we have the devolved governance system, which has played a big role. And we also have interoperable public data goods. And so when we look at Kenya's agricultural development and revolution, basically we see that the digital evolution has played a very critical role. So when we look at what are the key pillars that have helped Kenya in terms of agricultural development, we see that there is the digital ecosystem, and especially when you look at the mobile penetration. I'll look at this further, but we see that in Kenya, we have almost 100% mobile penetration. And then we have the pillar of climate resilience. We have index-based insurance and satellite data that help to cushion our farmers to monitor the situation in terms of climate risks and to cushion the farmers using digital technology. And then we have smart market access, also again, that uses platforms that are digital in nature. And so looking at the first pillar, which is the digital ecosystem, one outstanding and key thing is about the mobile-enabled extension and advisory services. So we see that we have moved more and more towards e-extension, towards digital extension services. And these are being offered not just using smartphones, but using SMS, using interactive voice response platforms, which means that even the small farmer who has their simple phone can be able to benefit from this service. And this kind of approach to extension has really helped us a lot, because you'll find in Kenya, the ratio of extension workers to farmers is up to 1 to 2,000. So that, you know, in our extension service, we see that previously the government was the main provider of extension services. But due to structural adjustments that were brought in the 80s and 90s, there's been a shrink in the number of staff in the extension service. And so the government service is not as effective as it should be. And so we are relying more and more on the private sector, and relying more and more on digital technology to help us to be able to bridge that gap. So we see, in terms of specific case studies, we have one of the leading mobile money service provider, M-Pesa, which is actually a worldwide acknowledged innovation. And this is a technology or a digital platform that is really making a big difference in ensuring financial inclusion for the farmers, because it's making credit easily available for farmers, so that farmers who do not even have collateral, they can be able to access credit based on their M-Pesa transaction records. They are able to qualify for credit. And then even farmers who are not able to access banks, because sometimes the banks are not in the villages next to the farmers. Sometimes the farmers are not able to maintain bank accounts, but they can have accounts that are on the M-Pesa platform. And so the digital ecosystem in terms of M-Pesa has really helped to widen the financial inclusion of the farmers. And then also, apart from that, we also have many integrated platforms that have come up, which are targeting the farmers and offering various services to them. So we see that with M-Pesa, basically, it is a platform that is used by banks to disburse money to farmers. And then we have like integrated platforms like DigiFarm. DigiFarm is actually a platform that is run by one of the biggest mobile service provider in the country, that is Safaricom. Safaricom is the one that hosts M-Pesa. And also Safaricom decided to move out of their territory to embrace agriculture. And so Safaricom has got this, what we are calling the DigiFarm. And this is a platform that offers a one-stop shop where farmers can buy inputs, they can get insurance, and they can sell produce via USSD. And this has had a very big impact. And then we also have the case of the digital connector model. And here, what is happening is that, you see, as we are going more and more towards digital services, our farmers, many of them have got limited literacy levels, because not many of them have gone to school beyond the primary level. And so you see that there's a gap in terms of the digital literacy. And this gap is being bridged through what we call the digital connectors. And so in the villages, we are having young people posted there as digital connectors. They are given smartphones, and then they go ahead to register the farmers and deliver advisory services on behalf of the particular platform that they are working for. So this digital connector model is actually being, it's being rolled out in many parts of the country through a project that I'm going to mention later on. So here, I just want to emphasize about how mobile money is actually driving agriculture. And I would say that in Kenya right now, there is almost 100% adoption of mobile money. And we use mobile money to pay for everything and anything, from the smallest transaction to the largest transaction. And so we see that there are many benefits that are being farmers are experiencing in agriculture, including financial inclusion. It's now easier for them to get credit. It's easier for them to access inputs and services. Not only can they pay for them through the mobile platforms, but also you'll find that the digital platforms like DigiFarm, which I mentioned in the previous slide, they use the M-Pesa platform to enable farmers to access inputs and services. And then we see also that through M-Pesa, you get market linkages being formed much better because farmers do not have to physically get to the buyer for them to be able to transact. Transactions happen and connections to the market also happen. And then also we see there are secure payments so that farmers do not have to fear that their money is going to disappear with a middleman. But through the M-Pesa platform, they can pay directly for their goods and be able to have security of their payments. Now, looking at this mobile money revolution also, we have what we call the Agri-Wallet. And this is an innovation, and it's a platform that has been, it incorporates M-Pesa. But what happens is that the Agri-Wallet allows the farmer to separate their mobile money so that this Agri-Wallet is specifically dedicated for money that is meant for farming. So when they need to buy inputs, they need to pay their suppliers, they need to pay for services. They don't have to mix their money so that they're going back to their personal money, but they can have money in a separate wallet that is dedicated. And even when they are paid, they actually can be paid onto this Agri-Wallet instead of the money going into their general account. So this is a way of helping the farmers to manage their finances better and be able to be more efficient in their agri-business. Okay, so I said that one of the pillars is the digital platforms. And then number two, we have risk mitigation, which also in the current climate change crisis that we are having, it comes in very handy. So we've had innovations like the index-based livestock insurance program, which was mostly implemented in the arid and semi-arid areas where we have most of the livestock being kept. And here you'll find that there's use of satellites to measure the condition. Satellites are used to measure the condition of the pastures so that they are able to monitor how green, how good are the pastures. And if the condition drops below a certain threshold, then you find that this system is linked to a system that automatically pays out farmers via mobile money. And this payout is mostly meant to help them to purchase fodder so that they can supplement the reducing pastures. What has been happening in the past is that farmers have been losing their livestock a lot due to drought because they don't have a way of being able to supplement their pastures. And then many of them are not able to offtake their livestock to sell them before the drought becomes severe. They cannot know, they're not able to predict how severe the drought is going to be or how scarce the pastures are going to be. But through these technologies, you find that the farmers are updated on what is happening as far as the pasture is concerned. Then we also have, in terms of insurance, we have what we call the area yield index insurance model that is also being carried out. And this is a public-private partnership kind of arrangement. And so there's use of technology that is used to monitor the condition of the farmer's field. And this is specifically for crops, whereby it works with, it uses an average of the yield that is obtained in an area, so that if that yield goes below a certain threshold that is agreed upon, then the farmers are compensated. So it is not compensation on individual basis, but compensation on a group basis. Then also in terms of risk mitigation, as far as climate change is concerned, we have data and physical technology. The Kenya Agricultural Observatory platform, it is one single source of truth whereby you find there is very close monitoring of and collection of meteorological data. And this data can be obtained and it can be disseminated to farmers and to other actors in the agriculture sector. Then also, we are having a situation where now we are moving into solar-powered drip irrigation systems. So instead of depending on rain-fed agriculture, which has been our previous situation, we are embracing more and more of of irrigation, and we are going for smart kind of irrigation, which is climate friendly by using solar powered drip irrigation. Okay, then the other pillar for our development is to do with market access and demographics, whereby we find that now farmers are being linked more and more to markets, so that they are not just selling what they grow, but they are able to grow what they can sell. And this is through companies that have come up that are leveraging on technology. Like we have the Twiga Foods company, which uses the business-to-business kind of model. And it uses certain algorithms to predict what is the urban demand for particular, especially food items. And then it connects rural farmers directly to vendors in the urban areas. Actually, what Twiga does is that they will collect the produce from the farmers directly and then distribute to the small vendors in the urban areas. So the kiosk operators, the roadside groceries and so on, they distribute to them directly. So we see that this tends to cut out middlemen who in our country have really been notorious for exploiting the farmers. Then another thing, apart from the market access, we are trying to attract our youth back into agriculture through the use of technology, so that we make them the ones who are the custodians of technology when it comes to reaching other farmers. So youth are being capacitated as agripreneurs, being given some seed money, seed capital, so that they set up their own enterprises, but also they serve as they also support the farmers in the villages with the agricultural information. So this is what we are calling the youth digital connectors model. And they're also being involved in logistics as well. Boda Boda is the motorcycle transport, which is very prevalent in Kenya. And so they're being used even for the Boda Boda transport. So for the women, we see that there are programs that leverage digital wallets to ensure that income from crops goes directly to women. And so women as well as youth are being involved in this digital revolution as we develop our agriculture. So now in terms of, apart from the three pillars, what is the structural engine on which we are running? And we have two aspects that are key as far as our agricultural development is concerned. We have devolution, and then we have the quad helix. Now, up to the year 2010, Kenya had a national kind of government whereby there was centralized kind of government. So all decisions, all activities were run by the central government. But when we adopted a new constitution in 2010, this is when now devolution was introduced and devolved governance was brought in. And so we find that right now we have 47 counties which actually run like almost autonomous governments, and the agriculture function or all the agricultural functions have been devolved to the counties, so that each county is now responsible for their own agriculture. Resources are given to the counties, and they now get to manage them the way they want, in terms of their priorities. And so we see that how devolution has helped us and contributed to agricultural transformation is that we have localized decision making. We have improved access to inputs and services. They've been brought closer to the people. We have enhanced extension services because the counties are now responsible for their own extension services. They're able to develop their own infrastructure. They're able to have their own market linkages and value chains. And also there is more empowerment and accountability. Now, just to say something about the value chains is that in Kenya right now, we have adopted a value chain approach to production, so that in each county, there are priority value chains that are identified for prioritization in terms of agricultural support, in terms of extension services. So based on the particular conditions in the county, based on the county's priorities and needs, they're able to identify which agricultural enterprises do they want to focus on. And so this, the value chain approach is working very well, because farmers tend to be linked to market so that they are producing for the market. Farmers are organized into like producer groups, which are known as common interest groups, whereby they come together and they can access services, including extension services. They can access inputs, they can market jointly, and so on. Okay, so I also talked about the quad helix in Kenya's agriculture sector. So we have a collaborative model, which is not necessarily unique to Kenya, but it is working for us because we see that there is close collaboration between the government, which provides policy and data mostly. Now, when it comes to data, you see that the government, some 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago, the government actually decided to constitute a database for all the farmers in the country. This is something that had not been there before. And so right now we have what we call the Kenya Integrated Agricultural Management System, on which over 6 million farmers have been registered. And so they've been registered together with their data. So in terms of their farm sizes, in terms of where they are, their location, their farm sizes, what they grow, their conditions, and so on. So the government has got a database that is based on that. And so this is important because it helps even when it comes to subsidy programs, like we have a fertilizer subsidy program, seed input subsidy program. Then this data that the government has is used to guide the allocation of such subsidies. Then in the Helix, we also have the academia and research. We have our universities, agricultural universities. We have research organizations. Our leading research organization is the government Kenya Agricultural and Research Organization. It's called CALRO. That is the one that is the main research organization. And so they develop different kinds of technologies, not just climate smart varieties, but also different technologies that are passed to farmers. And then we have the private sector that plays a very, very key role in delivering last mile services. Because as I explained earlier, our government extension service is not adequate, and it is not reaching many farmers because of resource challenges and other issues. And so the private sector is coming in very, very strongly even through digital technologies and other ways to reach the farmers who are not easy to reach. And so we also have on the other quarter of the helix, we have the farmers themselves, who are the adopters, and we have the civil society. And all these work together to ensure adoption of technologies on the ground. So apart from that structural kind of setup or environment, we also have the policy anchor. We have policies that actually our agricultural sector is anchored on. So the first one is the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which is a medium-term plan, a 5-year medium-term plan, and it is based on the Vision 2030. So we have our blueprint of Vision 2030, but it tends to be divided into 5-year medium-term plans. So the current government has the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and this agenda really emphasizes the issue of empowering the people who are at the bottom, the issue of trying to reach to the bottom and move from the bottom up. That's why it's actually called bottom up. And so the farmers are now seen as economic agents that are foundational to the country's growth. And so we see that the better plan, it prioritizes productivity, it prioritizes market, and also the issue of tools for ensuring de-risking of the farmers. And so another policy also is the agriculture sector transformation and growth strategy. This is the current strategy that is guiding agriculture in the country. It was brought into force in 2019 and will run for 10 years. And so we see that it focuses a lot on reaching small-scale farmers. So it has set targets in terms of how many farmers are to be reached. And then there's also a lot of emphasis on the use of digital technology, because the strategy acknowledges that actually the current setup with extension service delivery is not adequate. And so we're trying to leverage on technology and strengthen extension through the use of technology. And this strategy actually specifically gives direction in terms of involvement of youth as digital connectors, so that in the counties, in the smallest units, which are the wards, we see that youth are supposed to be trained and empowered to serve as digital connectors and offer extension services to the farmers. So this is just illustrating what are our youth doing. They're being empowered to be agripreneurs. So they run agribusinesses, they have their own businesses, they can be doing production, they can do even agrovets, they can run agrovet businesses, they can do other services, but they actually are empowered to do agribusiness. And then on top of that, they offer advisory services to the farmers. And so they're able to bridge the gap in terms of the digital divide. And the good thing with this model is that the youth who are identified, they are based in the villages themselves. So they are local young people who are well known to the local community and who are trusted. And so they are able to get acceptance in the community more than if you're using a person from outside. So examples of platforms and projects that are using this youth, the digital connectors. We have DigiFarm, which I had mentioned earlier. We have a project that is known as Nyota, Empowering Youth for Opportunities in Employment. It's a big project that is being rolled out in the whole country. And in every administrative ward, which is the smallest unit, there are youth that are going to be identified, or they have been identified, and they're being trained so that they'll be given some seed money to start agribusinesses and serve as digital connectors. Then we also have the Kenya Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, which is KEFAS, which actually has been running a pilot project on digital connectors. This pilot project is just in a few counties, but it has proved that the youth digital connectors are actually successful and impactful. Okay, so this is about the Nyota project, which I mentioned, just a bit of information about it. Let me not go into the details because of time. So we have emphasis on reaching the last mile through digital solutions. How are we getting to that farmer that we cannot reach? And so we have organizations like the 1 Acre Fund that delivers seeds and fertilizers right in the villages. They set up not even permanent shops. They're using containers, these containers that are used by transporters. They're setting up container shops right within the villages and making sure that the farmers access inputs, and they also access extension services because they have field officers. And so we also have digital platforms that I had mentioned, and the Kenya Forum for Agriculture Advisory Services and AFAS as well. So what are some of the lessons that we can learn? Although I stand to be guided because it is now you, the audience, who is going to determine what can be learned. But we see that the key lessons that can be learned from Kenya are about innovation, especially in the use of digital technologies, the use of things like the mobile money. The issue of collaboration is very key. So apart from the quad helix, which I mentioned, the collaboration between the government, the academia and researchers, private sector, and the farmers, we also have adopted a multi-stakeholder kind of approach. So the way that we are approaching agriculture, the agriculture sector is now has shifted towards multi-stakeholder kind of approach. So even extension is being offered within the context of multi-stakeholder approach or multi-stakeholder platforms. So we can learn from the innovation, from collaboration, as well as from the resilience that is being brought about, especially in view of climate-related risks through technology. Then, yeah, so I've tried to pick out what are some of our strengths, our weaknesses, our threats and opportunities, which maybe can provide learnings for Asia and the Pacific. And one strength that we have is our vibrant digital ecosystem, especially the mobile money, which I said is almost 100% penetration. The issue of mobile phones, we have almost 100% penetration. And so it is something that you can leverage upon. And then another thing is that we have a diverse agricultural production because of the kind of weather that Kenya has. I did not mention this in my presentation, but then we see that it is a strength that we have because we are able to produce a wide range of high-value crops throughout the year. We are able to export, and so we see that it reduces our risk. And then another thing we can learn is about strong institutional frameworks and partnerships. This is based on our quad helix model of collaboration, where we have different collaborators working together to ensure that innovations and policies are grounded on local realities so that the solutions are actually being formulated at the local level. So they are adapted to the local conditions, and yet they can be scalable. Okay, then another strength is that is the innovative climate smart insurance that is being implemented. It is not 100%, but it is something that we can build on and be able to get quite a lot of success from. But then apart from the strengths, we also have our weaknesses. I did not talk about the challenges that we face as a country, but one of our challenges is in terms of our high dependence on rain-fed agriculture. So as I said, that only 15% of the country is arable. But then of this 15%, it's not like all of it is being used for farming or for agriculture. And so we see that we depend a lot on rain-fed agriculture, which makes us quite vulnerable. So there is need to, although I've talked about strengthening irrigation, going into solar-powered irrigation, you still see that there is a gap that we need to work on. And then the other thing is about post-harvest losses and poor infrastructure. And mainly, we have problems to do with inadequate rural roads. Some of our road networks, although there's been a lot of improvement in the recent past, but still some of our very productive rural areas, they become impassable during the rains. You're not able to access the farmers are not able to access markets and so on. So we also have infrastructural challenges because of storage, especially for perishable goods like milk, which easily goes bad, and some produce like potato. When you harvest potato, when you have vegetables, farmers do not have access to short-term storage as they wait to get to the market. Then also we have weaknesses in terms of processing facilities, and so our post-harvest losses are still quite high. Okay, then we have inefficient subsidies and financing gaps. I've said that we have subsidies in terms of fertilizer, subsidies in terms of inputs like seed, but these are not like 100% efficient. So even though they're being driven by technology, because farmers are using e-vouchers to access those subsidies, still you'll find there is inefficiency in terms of subsidy targeting. So sometimes the people who get the subsidies are not really the ones who deserve the subsidies. So this is something that can be picked up by the Asia and Pacific countries if you're not doing it already. Then we have a problem, a big challenge of land fragmentation. Our arable land is very limited, and that arable land is being fragmented. Of course, because of population pressure, the population is increasing, and we are now converting more and more of the agricultural land into non-agricultural use, residential areas, commercial areas, areas for setting up industries, and so on. And so this is something that is really affecting us in terms of our agricultural production. I'm remembering something that was shared by someone about what is happening in China, where they are having a kind of story buildings which are being used specifically for agricultural production. So you have very tall buildings that are set up, or structures, not really buildings, but structures that are set up for agricultural production in the urban areas. So this is one area that maybe we also need to borrow, because our land is getting fragmented more and more, and the agricultural land is actually shrinking. So what are our opportunities? We see we have opportunities in terms of value addition and agro processing. So we have opportunities for processing raw agricultural products. Although sometimes we tend to export quite a lot of our raw products to be processed outside, but we have the opportunity. And then the opportunities to do with youth engagement. Kenya has got a very large youth population because 75% of Kenya's population is actually below the age of 35. They are 35 and below. So that's 75%. So we have a huge population of youth that we can actually build on as an opportunity. We've not yet brought them in well enough, but it is something that we can work on. And then the issue of import substitution. We are still importing a lot of food such as wheat, even rice, vegetable oils, maize. And so this is something we need to work on. And then climate resilience investment. Although we have initiatives that are happening, they are not yet at the level that they are supposed to be. And so also at the same time, we have threats that we need to acknowledge. And these threats are to do with climate change, which is being experienced globally. So we are trying to adapt and mitigate climate change. We have a lot of climate smart agriculture technologies that we are pursuing and trying to have farmers adopt. But then we still have a lot of challenges with climate change. And then with climate change comes the issue of pests and diseases. We have new and emerging pests and diseases, and these are quite a threat. And another thing is about market volatility, that sometimes the market prices will fluctuate a lot. And so we still do not have that stability. So one year, our coffee brings in a lot of money. The other year, the farmers are crying because of low bonuses that they are getting, because of low payments that they are getting from their exports. So that is also a challenge. So in conclusion, I can say that there is a lot that, or there is some lessons, maybe not a lot, but some lessons that possibly Kenya can offer to Asia and the Pacific to effectively streamline their agriculture. And we also have a lot of lessons that we can learn from Asia and the Pacific. So these are just some points that I've picked up, but basically I would say that we have a lot to learn from each other. When I look at Asia and the Pacific, you're looking at 15 countries, so you don't even know which one focus to look at. But I really admire the kind of block that is represented or covered by the Center for Integrated Rural Development, because it is bringing governments together, it is bringing countries together, which is something that we do not have and which would really benefit from. Otherwise, I would say thank you very much for listening to me. Asante sana. That is how we say it in Kiswahili. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your very impressive and elaborate presentation. And now we are at the end section of our webinar, which is the interactive session. But before that, I want to tell that our Honorable Director General, His Excellency Dr. P. Chandrasekhara sir, has joined. So he will interact with all of you, also with the speaker. Sir, would you like to say something right now, sir?
Thank you, friend.
Yeah.
I would like to thank Professor Agnes for accepting our invitation and delivering a wonderful talk. I will come at the end. I was fortunate to listen almost entire presentation, even though I missed few minutes in the beginning because I was on the travel. So I could, catch up. I will come at the end. Now it is open for discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Now it's open for discussion. We have roughly, actually we are at the end, but we have roughly 10 minutes. So anyone, okay, yeah, Dr. Binoy Goswami. Yeah, yes, sir, you can ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Agnes. First of all, it was a wonderful, very insightful presentation, and you explained it very well. You must be a very good professor. So I just have basically, I would like you to comment on two things which you mentioned, but I would like you to explain a bit more. So if you can elaborate, you mean priority change and how identify these are. And in that context only, you mentioned and any catastrophic things happen. So that was very insightful. Thank you very much. So I would just like to know a bit more on this issue from you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So this value
just can you stop share
Okay.
Right.
Let me
Okay.
stop share. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So the value chain approach. This is an approach that was brought in through our we had a national agriculture sector extension policy and the agriculture sector development strategy that actually recommended that the country adopts a value chain approach. And so how it works is that you'll find the different counties in the country, they have different agroecological conditions. And so in terms of what can grow there, you'll find there might be differences. And then also in terms of the preferred enterprises that they would want to develop, there are differences. And so each county, through a public participation kind of engagement, they'll engage with stakeholders in the agriculture sector in order to be able to identify which are the key priority areas. So for example, yes, excuse me. For example, in the county where I live, which is called Nakuru County, you see our priority value chains are, we have dairy, we have local poultry, we have potato as a value chain, we have pyrethrum as a value chain. And so once we have those priority value chains, it means that that is where we focus our efforts, we focus our resources, so that we try to strengthen those value chains all the way up and make them strong and effective. And so because you find when you spread resources too thin, you end up not being able to achieve much impact, especially with the limited resources in terms of extension, in terms of other resources that can come in terms of aid or credit. And so the value chain approach is used, that in every county, there are specific value chains. Some counties will have about 3 or 4 or 5, so that extension priorities are directed towards the particular value chains. And we've had quite some successes in a number of value chains. And what happens is that after 5 years, we normally have elections every 5 years. And so if there's a change in county government, a new governor comes in, they might decide they do not want to continue with the priorities of the previous governor, and they might change. Or if they realize that the value chains that they've been focusing on have developed enough so that they can now be sustainable, then they'll identify other value chains. So that is how this value chain approach, so that even extension services, they are offered along the value chain, so that the extension agents are not just concentrating with the producers, which has been the traditional approach, but they concentrate along the value chain. And you also try to bring the value chain actors together in multi-stakeholder platforms where they will meet occasionally to engage about issues in the value chain. So that is how it works. And then you asked about the Trigger Foods model. Now, Trigger Foods is a private company that tries to connect farmers directly to businesses. And so they onboard farmers. They actually contract farmers before, at the beginning of the growing season. They contract farmers so that they agree to pick the produce from the farmers and to market it. So they take the responsibility of identifying markets for the farmers, and they also actually go ahead to offer agronomic advice to the farmers. So in every county where they are working, they have field officers who will visit the farmers, who will provide them with the advice, so that at the end of it all, the farmer is going to produce a commodity that meets the quality that is needed. So that is how Trigger Foods operates. And they supply directly, they supply small, retail, they supply retailers directly, so that people who are retailing do not have to go to the market to look for the produce, but the produce will find them where they are. They deliver directly to the kiosk, to the small vendor, to the grocery, and so on. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, Miss Yamuna. Miss Yamuna?
Hi,
Yes.
everyone. I'm Yamuna from Nepal, and I'm very thankful to Professor for very insightful and comprehensive presentation. I just have two questions because Nepal is also in the federal governance system since 2015 with the new constitution. Yeah? So I'm interested to know two things. One is how the responsibilities are shared among the counties, because agriculture doesn't follow the boundaries. So how the counties are collaborating to develop those value chains is one thing. The other one is how the accountability measures are established so the every actress in the value chain responds according to the legal provision. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let me respond to the first question first about the issue of how responsibilities are shared among the counties, because when it comes to agriculture, you'll find that agriculture does not know boundaries. If you're growing maize, it will flow right across to the next county and so on. Now, I would say this is an area that we have not really worked on a lot, because most of the counties, they operate like as independent units. So we don't have much collaboration between the county, or we don't have structured collaboration between the counties. And in fact, you'll find that counties will charge each other, if you're crossing through a county to go and sell your produce in another county, you're going to be charged some, you'll pay some levy for you to cross. And this is an area that actually maybe we need to think about, because I would say the collaborations between the counties, it's not very strong, it's not structured, we don't have the mechanisms for it at the moment. So in fact, one problem that we have, one challenge that we have with the counties is that, you see, there are functions that have been devolved to the counties, including agriculture, including agricultural extension. So the government has the policy, they provide the policy framework, but there's no mechanism for actually enforcing the implementation of the policy in the counties. So each county is left on its own to do the implementation. And so you'll find some counties have done extremely well and achieved a lot of success. Other counties, they are lagging behind. And yet the government cannot come and you know, like they cannot come and administer the whip and ask the county, why have you left your agriculture sector to go down? So it is purely for each county to be responsible for itself, which we also feel is a gap and a weakness. Even when it comes to allocation of resources for agriculture, you see the government will allocate certain amount to counties, and each county is at liberty to allocate whatever they feel like allocating to agriculture, to extension. So there are counties where the leadership is really good and they allocate sufficient resources. Other counties, they don't care. You'll find extension has literally ground to a halt, which is why we need the private sector so much, because they play a very big role in filling that gap. Okay, about the value chains and the accountability among the actors. Again, I would say that the policy framework and guidelines around this are still lacking. And so let's say that the actors will depend on goodwill, you know, and just building trust among themselves. Otherwise, there's no system of really ensuring that each actor in the value chain meets their obligation or they perform their role. So it is still a challenge, but it's being worked out, because as we go more and more into the multi-stakeholder platforms, we're also having capacity building of the various actors, especially the extension agents, about how to work in multi-stakeholder platforms, and so that they can sort of be facilitators, although they do not have the legal backing. And now that is a problem because there's no enforcement that is involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyone else? We can allow at least some couple of minutes if you want to ask or make a comment. We have almost 71 people right now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Madam, can I intervene?
Yeah, of course, Dr. Babu. Yeah, you can.
Moni.
Oh, Professor Moni, sir. Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry. Yeah, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Professor Agnes, for your very wonderful presentation. I have been very closely looking into it, and I understood the way in which you presented SWOT analysis, and also the various connectors which you have got it, and also from the helix diagram which you have shown. It is very important that you have about 40 counties.
47
counties, and also you have about more than 20 universities who offer computer science courses in Kenya.
Okay.
And you also have agricultural higher educational institutions. In order to bring in sustainable agriculture and livelihood opportunities, and I have been watching, studying many, and I have also been presented with many of the innovative digital programs of Kenya from 2013 onwards. I know about M-Pesa is one of first in the world to have a mobile-based money transaction.
Yeah.
And but you have a land, and you have all the connectors in positions. You have 47 counties. What is needed is an ecosystem architecture and a framework to operationalize digital technology on farm.
Okay.
And I have been, even though I am a computer science person, worked in government now for more than 35 years in agriculture sector, and we have been promoting, and also in India, you said that how Asian Pacific region can facilitate. In India, under the Doubling Farmers Income by 2022 committee report, I was closely associated. I was the chairman for volume 12B, it is digital technology in agriculture. We have suggested 7 mission mode programs. And if these 7 mission mode programs, and also that a Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies in all the higher educational institutions, both in agricultural institution and universities who offer computer science courses, so that you can attract youths of graduations in any discipline. So now we call it STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, agriculture, maths, and management. And these youths who are from these courses can be attracted through the digital technology in 7 mission mode program. Each one can bring an agri-tech startup. So my suggestion through CIRDAP to, and Kenya also as a member of ARDO, we are closely working with both the CIRDAP and ARDO. If you can recommend and for agricultural informatics and e-government research studies, which we have established in India. After my retirement, I'm associated with Soviet Institute of Engineering Technology, is the first private university in the world to have a Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Government Research Studies. If this is done, I'm able to see 47 counties, 47 Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Government Research Studies, and all your sectors can be associated with the Center for Agricultural Informatics, and your agriculture extension can come from centers like you to agri-tech startup, so that you provide 24/7 integrated digital services to your farmers. so that you can achieve sustainable agriculture and livelihood opportunities for a country like Kenya. It can become like a in a very a country which can lead, because from your presentation I'm able to understand and appreciate you have got all the connectors. But if these boxes are put in, you can have as many number of agri-tech startups and the Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Government Studies, and create postgraduate level agricultural informatics and diploma, so that digital technology in agriculture through the 7 Mission Mode program is on the ground. And you've got that 1.6 million farmers, and all are small and marginal farmers, and it can be as a stakeholders. This is a one model which I'm putting. We have been working even for African countries. I also published related articles, and you have a framework, but have the Center for Agricultural Informatics. It can do wonders, and agri-tech startups in a very big manner. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much for that. I think we need to engage further so that you can give me more details.
No, I can send through the CIRDAP, and and I have captured all your screens. We have created a WhatsApp for the CIRDAP members. Thanks to the the help given by His Excellency Director General Dr. Chandrasekhara. And we also had a very important conference on July 6th, and we are now bringing out the workshop proceeding on smart tribal farming, sustainable agricultural, rural development, rural livelihood, livelihood opportunities. In partnership with CIRDAP. It was a very successful program, and it is very important. The only thing is that I'm very happy to know you got all the connectors at the grassroots level. And if you have these intermediaries as agri-tech startups and Center for Agricultural Informatics, it can be a #1 country in Africa.
Wow. Wow, that is something that we can look into. Actually, we don't have any agriculture informatics studies, and e-governance. That's really unique. And it is something that needs to come out quite quickly, because
for information, I have this is born out of experience. I worked in government from 1987 onwards. This policy on digital technology in grassroots level, and we have seen it in India. This is what it is to be bring back rural use to back into agriculture. All agriculture commodity value chain I studied in with respect to Kenya. And even in a meeting 2 years back, millet value chain is going to give you a lot of benefits.
And
and a lot of many commodities. It's very important, and you have to go for a category which we have recognized as a smart rainfed farming. And it is very important. 47 counties and so many higher education institutions. Let them work for IT in agriculture in a very structured manner. That's what we would like to. Even in India, we are promoting, and we are working with many educational institutions. And this is because agriculture is the only discipline. This is an unstructured problem. Heavy use of artificial intelligence can be applied, not in industry. And so this is, and many of the tribal communities and traditional farmers have got indigenous knowledge that has to be converted and available with a modern technology. So Kenya can work out a big model, and even for India to understand how the rainfed farming, smart rainfed farming can facilitate, and a lot of models which we are now working in many states under smart tribal farming, and CIRDAP and ARDO can facilitate in a very big manner to bring in agricultural informatics and e-governance model in a very big manner. And apart from that, I also would like to promote Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, and also Center for Health Informatics and Computing to study human health, animal health, plant health, soil health, water health, and fish health and environmental health. It can bring you a very important, sustainability at the village level. Thank you very much.
Yes, sorry, sir.
I have taken more time. I should say sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay, ma'am. Sir, ma'am, it's very important discussion that you both are having, but we have our time limitation. So, any last minute comment or any questions from anyone before our closing remarks by our Honorable Director General of CIRDAP? I know it's some of them. It's in Bangladesh. It is lunchtime already, and also some of the countries. But any last minute comment or any question from anyone? Okay, I don't think so. Okay, if it is not, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us. Now I'm requesting our Honorable Director General, sir, of CIRDAP to say the closing remarks of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiren. Very interesting, discussion. Thank you, Professor Agnes, for your valuable time. I'm very happy to see large number of participants, professionals from Myanmar. So I'm seeing, the good presence of Myanmar in all our webinars, and really they are taking good benefits. So I will start with, just to add to our discussion, I have kept, for my remarks at the end. See, what is possible in Africa, definitely it is possible in all Asian and African countries, because you look at the nature of farmers and land holdings and the governance. So if it is successful there, definitely it is worth, replicating in other countries. So what Professor Moni suggested, introduction of agri-informatics, I think it is a very serious suggestion Professor Agnes can think of. We have not thought in, Africa, because we are waiting for some department to emerge as agri-informatics. But we have computer science division, we have agriculture division. We need to make both the people to sit together. And that is the, birth of agri-informatics division. Probably, I am sure Professor Moni and CIRDAP will definitely help facilitate whatever the support you require, we can think of. And there was one question by Yamuna from Nepal regarding the center and provincial responsibilities, role clarity with respect to management of agriculture. When I visited, Kenya, we have seen that there are certain issues are there, but Yamuna can look at, India, where you can find a more matured system where agriculture is clearly a state subject, whether it is research, extension or education, marketing and administration of agriculture is taken care by state. But India has, 29 states. What is important for entire country, for example, some Seed Act, Fertilizer Act, Pesticide Act, some of the model marketing acts which are applicable to all the states, some of the policies which are relevant to entire country, only those are handled by center, but otherwise agriculture is a state subject. And coming to your presentation, probably SACO is one. SACO is, cooperative. For the information of all our participants, Kenya is the only country where every member, every citizen is part of one or the other cooperative. A teacher is part of teacher cooperative, a bus driver is part of bus drivers cooperative, a dairy farmer is part of dairy cooperative. You have cooperative for everyone in probably that is the greatest strength, the Kenya has, and one of the strongest lesson, Asia and Pacific can take. Once you bring farmers together, whether it is organized production and influencing the market, encouraging the processing and influencing the policies becomes very, very easy. So cooperative institution building is very important. This one lesson we can take. Agripreneurs, very good idea. It needs support from banks and the policy. M-Pesa, I think this digital transaction, it can add a lot of value to agriculture. Your Twix case study is very interesting. Livestock, when the greenery reduces, automatically digital payment is activated. I think it is one thing we can straight away we can take it. And group insurance instead of individual insurance is another approach. 1 acre fund is very interesting. I think a small holder farmer, mentoring, probably this 1 acre fund will give a lot of lessons. A quad helix cooperation model. See, we have problems, we also have solutions. Only thing we have to link up problems with the solutions, and professionals and institutions should be linked. So I think this quad helix collaboration model, it gives, solutions in this. It's a good thing. I think some of 1 or 2 suggestions, startups and agribusiness industries involvement in a big way. It is required for Asia Pacific and also for Africa. But normally, in majority of the countries, we try to change the practice, but the principle of extension says you change the farmer. That is where we put one step backward. All these issues, when we talk about sustainable agriculture development, changing farmer is must. It can't be a piecemeal approach. Normally, it is one of the mistakes done in all in the in the entire region, because these short-term steps give instant results, which also give satisfaction, but they're not sustainable. Wonderful discussion. Thank you very much. And there is a lot of scope to continue our partnership. We will be in touch with you and Professor Moni and other participants. Thank you, Huren, for this wonderful webinar. Really benefited.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all participants for joining with us, especially from Myanmar and Bangladesh and Iran and Nepal also, and India. Thank you so much. So I'm just we are at the end of this webinar, and I have just one request to all of you. This webinar recording will be placed in our CIRDAP official YouTube channel, and I have shared that link at the chat box. So do subscribe and place the bell icon, so instantly you get the notification of all of our activities and webinar. And thank you so much.
Huren, just to add a word for a minute. Would you like to take this opportunity to tell 1 minute about innovation challenge and 1 minute for research proposals? We know because all of the participants will be interested in that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The dear respected participants, I will just take you a couple of minutes about 2 things of CIRDAP initiative. One is CIRDAP Reads International Rural Innovation Challenge 2026. So actually, we are encouraging all the, especially from the Asia Pacific. Let me just show you also, just give me a minute. It will be better if I can show you, then it will be clear.
But that is available in a CIRDAP website.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is also available in our CIRDAP website. And I will, you can go through in our website and you can see about the CIRDAP International Rural Innovation Challenge. So we are accepting this innovation from all the country, actually from all over the world. And
I can just take it forward. No, basically, CIRDAP is interested in inviting innovations in rural development. If you have some ideas, share with us, and the best shortlisted ideas will get cash awards. and also certificates, and they will be invited to Sri Lanka for sharing their ideas, and their ideas will also be circulated among all the people. The second, would like to announce, CIRDAP is inviting research proposals from our member countries. If you have any research proposal, please visit our website and you will get more information, and definitely that will be scrutinized, and it's another opportunity for association. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Both the initiative we have already placed in our website, so you can go through in our website. Thank you. Thank you all for joining with us. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to engage some more. Maybe I'll be joining some of your webinars when I get time, and hope for collaborations also in future. Thank you very much, and I welcome you to visit Kenya.